Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Soscano, do you have any changes to the agenda?
Yes, yes, Mr. President. The agenda was printed before the meeting, and the board did not discuss under box number 4 negotiations update, custodial group, or the bus driver group. So there was no discussion about that. And the additions were, there was a discussion in addition for exception number 3, matters involving student issues. And in matter number, box number 8, excuse me, personnel items as noted on the agenda was also discussed.
Thank you. This meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act 231, Chapter 231, Public Law of 1975. This meeting notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press on September 14th, 2020, and has been duly advertised in the Asbury Park issue on September 16th. All municipalities of the townships, the boroughs within the regional high school district has been duly notified, and the requirements for this posting has been met. We are ready for the superintendent's report. Oh. Can I have a motion for minutes, to approve minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Weiss? Second?
Ms. Cappiano.
Mrs. Cabello. Thank you.
Ms. Cappiello?
Yes.
Mrs. Higley?
Yes.
Mrs. Ladden?
Abstain.
Mr. Messinger?
Yes.
Mr. Moses?
Warmly abstain.
What?
Mrs. Spinelli?
I was in.
Mr. Weiss?
Yes.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now I'm ready for the superintendent's report. Now I'm ready for the superintendent's
Recommendations are on file.
Thank you, Mr. President. So just a few notes tonight. First and foremost, this is usually the time where we do our biannual violence, vandalism, harassment, intimidation, and bullying presentation. One of the things that the school district has done in the past is, rather than simply just report the numbers at the table, we usually have some student presentations about representing some of the clubs and activities that we have across the district that help to mitigate poor decision making, because we understand, having a district of almost 11,000 teenagers, that they're going to make mistakes from time to time, and it's our responsibility to work with them, help them, and help them grow and learn from those mistakes. And so we have an awful lot of clubs and activities and things of that nature that are directly related to combating any violence, any drug use, things of that nature. You know, our student assistance coordinators, our community partnerships and alliances, we talk with student mentors. We have grade level meetings and assemblies with every grade level multiple times a year. SAD, Eddie Counters, special programs with John Morrell, Mikey Fallon, things of that nature. And so it's really embedded into the culture of what happens in our schools on a regular basis. Our peer leaders that do so many different things across the district, our Lead for Diversity kids, they do some terrific work. And the reason I'm reading the numbers at the table tonight rather than doing a full board presentation is, given COVID and what has transpired over the past years, our numbers are staggeringly low. And so when you're talking from phase 1 in 2020, 2021, and that's from September of 2020 through December 31st of 2020, I should say, we had one incidence of violence across the 6 high schools and the 11,000 students. We had one threat. We had no vandalism. We had one issue of substance abuse across the district. And so the difficulty with what this is going to, we had 5 total hip incidents as well. The numbers are going to be distorted over the next couple of years for a lot of things, not just our HIV incidents and issues of substance abuse. COVID has masked an awful lot of what might be occurring off school grounds and outside of school. And obviously, where we sit today, I think approximately 60% of our students are in the building, and 40% or so are learning remotely by choice. And so obviously, there's somewhere around 20% of our student body that has not entered our halls this year. The executive order allows for that, and they've made that choice. And so there's a lot out there that we don't possibly know might be happening, and so it will be interesting to see what this looks like moving forward, because the data for a whole lot of things is going to be very difficult to make real sense of in the subsequent years. Obviously, I'm sure everybody saw the news today. The CDC came out and said vaccinated folks no longer have to wear masks. Governor Murphy has indicated that effective Monday, there'll be some significant loosening of restrictions. And as a school system, I just want to reiterate that as we sit here today, this evening, we are under the executive order. Masks are required. Social distancing to the greatest extent possible in the school district is still required. But what we do have, I think, a lot more optimism for at this point in time are our end of the year celebrations, our graduation ceremonies, which are outdoors. Our proms that have occurred thus far have gone off wonderfully, without a hitch. They've been awesome events that the kids have really enjoyed. And graduation, I think on Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock, the individual high school principals will be messaging the community with some specifics about graduation. And we feel very confident about having a ceremony that's going to be very, very, very close to absolutely normal. So we feel good about where we are with it, and we'll see what the next couple weeks bring. But obviously the numbers across the state and the nation have plummeted. The state as a whole has been in the yellow now for a few consecutive weeks, and so these are all signs for optimism. I think New Jersey is somewhere north of 50% with vaccinations at this point in time for those that have been eligible. We've had a wonderful partnership with Center State Hospital, and I thank them repeatedly, but they've continued to run clinics and to open up those individuals who want it for their children, making the vaccines available at this point in time. And so, we went through graduation processes today with the building principals for a couple hours. We feel really good about where we are. We feel really good with what we're going to message the community on Friday, and we feel strongly about how well this year has gone given the circumstances and the job that has been done. And we feel good about finishing this year strong. And I want to reiterate, our expectation for September is business as usual. School as usual, full day, all day. We are going to start that process with what we usually do, our summer programs, both academic and athletic. We are moving forward with those programs as we would in a normal school year this summer. So we feel very good about being able to do that. Obviously, that's, the caveat there is if anything, a spike or other public emergencies or executive orders that might change that in some capacity, we'll address that at that point in time. But we feel very positive about where we are today. Our staffing is almost complete for all of next year. We feel good about where we are there, and we're going to finish the year strongly. So that's my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Yeah, that was an interesting CDC today. It's going to be interesting how it involves around New Jersey. It looks like this governor still has the right to keep us open, keep us closed, continue. So, but I think a lot of people, 3 of my neighbors asked me about masks in schools before I came to the meeting. So things really are not going to change in the schools all that quickly. Am I right, Dr. Sampson?
Yeah,
Can I tell my neighbor that tonight?
Yes,
Okay.
please. So I wouldn't anticipate much change at all in schools, too quickly. So the caveat there is vaccination. Obviously, they're just now making vaccines available for 12 to 15 years of age, and so there's tons of the population that haven't even been exposed to that, and everything that CDC said was contingent upon states, and they're making their own decisions. What I would hope, though, in all of this is that it doesn't follow the traditional path of let school districts decide what they're going to do, and that's what creates the free-for-all. And while I'm at it, there'll be an editorial running in one of the in NJ Spotlight shortly that several of us wrote, asking the same questions we've asked about needing answers for what is going to be allowed or not next year as it relates to the remote or virtual component, and are we going to move off of the 6-foot social distancing requirement, particularly as it relates to any areas where you're eating. And so I do want to reiterate that we are still beholden to that 6-foot requirement, particularly when at the lunch hour, things of that nature. And so those are the things that we've asked repeatedly, that we need guidance in a much more timely manner than we've received it thus far.
Thank you. It's amazing we made it through May. Great. Just a note here, all our communications are maintained on file in the Board of Education Board Secretary's office. Moving right along now with the meeting, we do not have any reports tonight, so you know all our board members are on 1 or 2, or maybe even 3 committees, and we need a lot in committees. We have finance, we have curriculum, we have policy, we have discipline. So, we need a lot, and as I said, all of us are on committees, some of us aren't too. But we don't have any reports tonight, so we're going to move right along to public participation.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes, you have something to add to the...
Yes, to amend the agenda that's available to the public. Item G7, which is approval of change of status. 2 additional entries on there. The first is named Michael Dillon, and on April 29, 2021, the previous action was resignation. The new action is to rescind resignation effective June 30, 2021, and reappoint as Director of Guidance and Operations at the Administration Building effective July 1, 21 through June 30, 22 at a salary of $148,101. The second item to add to that list is Michael Mendez. Same meeting, April 29th. The previous action was a reappointment, and that's being changed from Director of Guidance and Operations to Assistant Principal at Trail Township High School, effective July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, at a salary of $149,500. So for G7, those 2 additions on the existing resolution. And I'll now turn it over to Mr. Toscano, who has 1 additional amendment to the agenda.
It will be an additional resolution, J10. And the motion will be motion to deny the residency appeal as heard and discussed in executive session, and to authorize the superintendent to send written notice of the board's decision and the conditions noted therein.
Thank you.
So now we have public participation.
Yeah, those are the amendments.
We have,
on the agenda.
thank you. We have Anton Oisthinker. You want to speak, please? Come on up. 27 Brunswick Drive in Howell. I thought the address was familiar. We're neighbors.
Good evening, thank you. My wife and I have decided to homeschool my son Sammy. He's 13, going to 9th grade next year. He takes a mixture of accredited live online classes as well as self-paced. And as a homeschooler, right now he is prohibited from taking part in any extracurricular activities at Howell High School due to a current decision to not allow homeschoolers, despite us paying taxes. He loves football, he loves his town, and he would love to try out and play for the high school team. Our world has changed, as mentioned with the pandemic. Many families have taken on homeschooling. The Census Bureau has estimated that the number has doubled from more than doubled, 5 to 11% homeschooling. It's not virtual schooling, it's homeschooling. And 80% of those new homeschoolers surveyed plan to continue on homeschooling after the pandemic. In light of that, I think the Freehold Regional High School District Board should reconsider its stance on allowing homeschoolers to take and participate in extracurricular activities. Many of the teams that Howell plays against, such as Brick, allow homeschoolers to play for their football teams. In 2011, the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association amended their bylaws to allow homeschoolers to participate, so it's up to the district themselves to decide whether they want to do that. We are willing and able to meet all the conditions that are laid out there. With that said, I just want to know what can I provide the board that will allow my son and other homeschoolers to participate in extracurricular activities.
There's nothing specific that you can provide. I would go through our general processes through the Director of Guidance and Operations and making your appeal heard there and providing that context. And we make a decision from there.
Yeah, we reached out to Mike Ryan, the Director of Guidance. He said to come here and speak with him.
I'm sure you were given a decision about what the board stance is on allowing homeschoolers. We typically do not. We have not ever. And the reason for that is our kids that we believe it's unfair to the students who are in the school are held to very different standards that we can monitor and see and ensure the curriculum. And that's always been the decision of the school district.
Right, but under the laws, I mean, we submit all the grades, the classes he's taking, the classes my sons are taking, it's accredited. I can provide paperwork that shows that it's on level, sometimes above than what the current high schoolers are taking.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. Certainly respect your decision as a family. Our school district stance has been if you're going to participate in athletics or extracurricular activities, we want you to be a part of our school. We want you to be in the school.
Sir, I interject. For years, I was an athletic director. And this is not a talk, this is nothing new. We have parents who've come to the board meetings, and you always like them to come to have a tour with their child of the buildings, maybe even meet the coaches. We have a new football coach at Howell. You're going to Howell, right? You go to Howell?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and not just sports, but other activities. I mean, you can get involved in the chess team. So hopefully next year will be more normal. So I would take us up on that tour, if that's...
We've always extended, our number one goal is to have you come to one of our high schools if you really want to participate in those things. We make the principals available for tours, we work with the families. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. The decision to not allow homeschoolers to participate in other activities, we certainly respect everybody's choice to, you provide the opportunities you want to provide to your children, we absolutely respect that. But from a curricular standpoint and from what our expectations are, whether that's 4 hours of school and moving through our curriculum, we manage those expectations very tightly within our building. That's been the impetus for the decisions. Would certainly invite you over to Howell High School to meet with Mr. Brockman and take a tour and see that place for yourself and with your son.
No, I understand and appreciate that, but like you said, we have made this decision. If I don't quite understand if we submit and prove that he's meeting academically, why he wouldn't be able to participate.
It's just something that we've always felt. Now, I am only on the board for 6 years, but as a board, we've always felt that way. The kids really should be in the building.
Or in the county schools.
I'm sorry?
Or in the county schools.
The county schools, because our county schools can participate. But I've had quite a few athletes who were homeschooled, and when they came for a tour over the summer, 3 of them decided to go to school full-time. One did not. They were hockey, high-ranking hockey. But 2 of them became state champions in gymnastics. So there's a lot of families like you, especially in the Howell community, that they do change their mind come 8th grade. They really see the school, the kids want to continue the relationships. So definitely take that tour.
So the only option is to not go homeschool.
Yes.
To participate in athletics, yes.
what grade is he? He's in 8th grade now?
He's in 8th grade now, going into 9th grade
Oh.
next year.
So like I stressed that we have county, if he had applied to the county schools and was in there, he would definitely be able to play and participate in sports in his home school,
Right.
even though he's not in the Howell building. But that's regulated by another,
Right.
school, so that's the reasoning behind that.
No, I totally respect the homeschooling, what you do, but when it comes to high school, this is a personal thing as a teacher myself, and I have taught homeschool students. Just the maturity, especially with boys and girls at a certain age, it needs to be in a building. So think about it, and bless you for all the homeschooling. It's amazing that you can do it.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anything else? We go with old business and.
Do you have any other speakers?
No, we don't have any other speakers tonight. Just the,
We can move to
Anton.
the agenda.
Yes, we're going to go to old business. Oh, no, we're going to take the agenda. This is why I need my notes. We're going to take G113 to G113. I need a motion.
Okay, G1 to G13. Got it.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Weiss and Mrs.
Yes.
Higley. Second, Mrs. Higley.
Discussion?
Discussion?
This is, just note, this is as amended, as Mr. Boyce noted earlier for G7.
And just so you know, the G is personnel and negotiations. That's G1 through 13, personnel and negotiations. Motion?
We have motion,
Yeah,
actually roll call.
Roll call.
Mrs. Capello?
Yes.
Mrs. Higley?
Yes, except for Michael, yes for Michael Dillon, abstain for Michael Mendez.
Mrs. Ladden?
Yes.
Mr. Messenger?
Yes.
Mr. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Spinelli?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes. We're going to take any discussion? Can we do anything to add to this? No? Okay, we're going to move along here to H1 to K2.
Which includes Mr. Toscano's amendment at J10.
J10. It will include J10, the amendment.
So moved.
Thank you. That's Mr. Weiss. I need a second.
Second.
Mrs. Capiello. Motion.
Any discussion?
Any discussion on it? Okay.
Mrs. Capello?
Yes on everything except on K1, I abstain from Dr. Norwich.
Mrs. Higley?
Yes.
Mrs. Ladden?
Yes.
Mr. Messenger?
Yes.
Mr. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Spinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Weiss?
Yes.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes, and I abstain on J.
On J8, okay. Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
All motions carried.
Thank you. Any old business? Any old business? Any new business?
I have some new business,
Okay.
Mr. President. Just wanted to make a note and to thank the board for their support. Yesterday at the Assembly Ed Committee, I testified against Assembly Bill 4693, which would potentially impact school leaders, board members, superintendents, and such from freely expressing themselves with many undefined constraints to things around political activity and not quite defining that. And so the impetus for the legislation was apparently a letter that I had written in the fall of 2019. My testimony is now a matter of public record, and I certainly thank the board members for their support in that matter.
Thank you. Mr. Parisi, do you have anything to talk about school boards? Anything new?
Yes, I do, Mr. Bruno, thank you. As many of you know, I'm the New Jersey School Board Association representative for this Board of Education. Actually, tonight they had an award ceremony, and I skipped that meeting in which I was being awarded a new school board member certification because it was very important for me to be here with you guys tonight.
Thank you.
So this week is Special Education Week. There's over 250,000 special ed students in the state of New Jersey, and I just want to acknowledge the students, the staff, the parents, and everybody that is part of the team that helps support special education students. I also want to just remind the board that the annual workshop that is usually held in October is going to be a virtual workshop again this year. I don't know if any of you have ever
That's the
attended.
Atlantic City one.
Yeah, it's the Atlantic City one. It's going to be
Nothing like-
virtual this
Nothing
year.
like being, you gotta be there in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they made a decision about 2 months ago that financially, would they be taking a major loss to try to do it in person, so they're going to do it virtual again this year. And it's going to be held between October 26th and 28th. So if anyone's interested in attending that virtually, mark your calendars. And then this coming June 3rd, there's going to be a program online called the Public Relations Forum, which is going to be how to use social media to build goodwill. So if any board members are interested in participating in that, that's going to be June 3rd. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. I'm gonna have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Moses. I need a second.
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 All in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.